What it is, what's up, Auburn video in the cut. I'm gonna answer some questions right now. I just got back from a bar in Auburn. I won't name it, but you could probably guess if you ever been to Auburn which bar this came back from. Um, the reason I have my shirt off is because I had to return to the most primordial state to lower my temperature as soon as possible. Because the shit I endured on that damn floor watching that damn game. You may ask yourself, why did I watch it at a bar instead of not at a bar, just anywhere more conventional and casual? Because I'm a masochist, man. I'm a sadomasochist. Um, I'm gonna cover the Auburn game. Cover is a strong word. I'm gonna give some thoughts about the Auburn game and the Alabama game. Now keep in mind, like I just said, I watched the Auburn game at a bar, which was pretty much dance floor field for I don't know, at least 3/4 of the game, give or take, something like that. I watched Alabama game in my own crib of sane mind and complete sobriety. So my thoughts are gonna be more coherent about that game, but like it's not because I'm like meat riding Alabama or anything. You know, Alabama fans like to say everybody's a fucking Alabama fan deep down. Are they? We were all throwing this shit up. This is the NWO. We were throwing this shit up because we're all Alabama fans. Really? I think that's why. But no, that was a spectacle game. That was a helmet game, as Richard Johnson would say. It was a spectacle. And the only day it could have really had that didn't have was Trump flying in on fucking Air Force One, fucking all of 2019, Alabama LSU. God, if that happened, fuck, I don't even know what that. I don't even know what that would have fucking been like. That's not a political reference, by the way. It's just like the game becomes something else when usually when a president comes through, and usually when Trump comes in specifically, the event becomes a whole different thing. If you watch any sporting event that Trump has been a part of, usually the tenor it goes a little bit different direction. But that being said, because I only get one political reference in any given video, the Alabama game, it's so fucking. Dude, I had a fucking. This chick was probably built like a nose tackle. I'm not like making fun of her or anything like that. She wasn't like. I'm not saying she's ugly or anything like that. I didn't really look at her face, but she's probably like a nose tackle, like a three technique, and I'm probably a good 130, 135. That motherfucker was bumping me around the same way that Texas's defensive line was bumping Alabama around. There's the transition. Texas probably like the lead up, or at least the early part of this game. I think it was Fowler who said that this is the most talented Texas roster, or I think he said it, or one of the coaches reported it, one of the two, that this is the most talented roster Texas had since 2010, the Colt McCoy year. Um, I can't quantify that, but when I looked at this team play defense, I felt like there might have been some truth to that, bro. This is definitely the most ferocious looking defense that Texas has fielded since the kind of the last vestiges of the Mac Brown years. Because I mean, they just got it. That defensive line at Alabama, like, was fucking terrible on offensive line the past 2 years with Bryce. But the kind of the qualifier is they processed a lot of those. I mean, I'm not even doing these quotations. The 5 stars that weren't good enough, the Brock Myers and all those people that just were not good enough to cut it in Alabama kind of pedigree. Well, those motherfuckers today didn't look very much better than the motherfuckers the last 2 years. I'm just saying, bro. Like, I think it's a systemic thing at this point, bro. I don't think it's like objectively speaking, was that offensive line good the last 2 years? No, it wasn't. Like, I'm not blaming it on Bob O'Brien. His name was Bill. Bob O'Brien, or Saban or whoever. Like, because I think schematically, like this team has plateaued a long while ago. Like schematically, this is not a threatening team. It's not a threatening team this year. I think. Notre Dame son, the prodigious one. I mean, I think he caught a good game, all things considered. I mean, Could they have gone back to the run game a little bit more at times? Yeah, but I mean, the shots were open. Like from what I understand, I call him Nimrod, but Milton. Why do I call him Nimrod? I don't know. I just the 6 letters. It just I don't know. I'm gonna call him Nimrod. The reason with Nimrod, what I understand he's good at, other than like being a running back, is he can throw a deep ball. That's what I understand he can do at a high level. Do I think he can actually do that? I don't know. But he has some good shots. He has some really good shots. But his touch like isn't like good. Like he doesn't have a good touch. He just doesn't have a good touch at all. And it's like if you have a guy who like doesn't have very good touch, you have receivers who, I mean, I think was it Brooks? I think they still have Brooks there. I thought Brooks was straight in this game. Kobe Prentice, if you got into him in space, I thought he was straight. But like their receivers are not like good. Like I think this is an improvement over last year. Because as I recall, the receivers last year, they fucking stunk. They looked competent this game. Like, I don't think they were the problem whatsoever. But, like, this isn't, like, receivers that you can just throw out there and say, you're going to create separation. I don't have to draw up anything particular. You're going to create separation. I don't know if that's this. I don't know. But Texas's defensive, like, secondary, some real poop. Like, some real poop. They had a couple of breakups. I'm not going to lie to you. But They had so many like busted coverages that I don't know if it's the secondary or it's like the defensive play caller. Like I'm talking like 3rd and 17, you give up 21 over the middle on like a 3-down rush. And that's the particular play that happened. It was a 3-down rush. It was I think after Texas had kind of started like really threatening. They had gotten I think a 10-point lead, something like that, going to the late 3rd, early 4th, and it was a 3rd and 17, and they gave up a fucking like 21, 25 yard pass up the middle. I'm like, what the fuck? It was a 3-man rush. It was 3 dudes back, and the middle safety had I think if I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, he had the zone that the ball ended up going into. I'm trying to remember like what threw him off. It wasn't like it was a decent like pass design because it was like I think a crosser or I think a levels route where the over the middle guy came in from the left. I think he's what caught the middle safety's attention, and then I think there was a deep crosser that came in behind the safety or something to that effect. But it was just one of those things where like there were just like defensive busts that like subsisted Alabama's drives when it came to passing. It was very few like just like I'm gonna beat you. Like basically what Texas had when they passed the ball. When Texas passed the ball, they typically just beat Alabama's DBs down. Terran Arnold was fucking horrible in pass coverage. Really good, like I thought in kind of run stuffing, but just fucking horrendous in playing the pass. I mean, Worthy fried the shot at him, and I didn't know if that was going to happen because Worthy kind of started the game out a little bit shaky, but Worthy just murdered that fucking man every time. And I'm not going to say like this is the first time I've seen it out because 2017, this shit happened pretty often. Like those, I'm going to grab the guy to prevent like a touchdown. That happened pretty often in 2017. It may not get called all the time, but it happened fairly often. If you remember, I think that year it was some dude that started with an E, and then Sunseri, I think, was still out there, maybe. Benny Sunseri. But their secondaries were fucking terrible at that period of time. Like 2017, 2018, 2019, their secondary like was dreadful, like legit bad. And this was better than that. I mean, I thought the pass rush was not wonderful. I thought the run fronts, up until the point where Alabama just like pretty much quit at the like kind of back end of the 4th quarter, I thought the run defense was solid. I mean, I didn't think it was amazing. When you consider that like these running backs are not Bijan Robinson, probably not great, but it wasn't horrible. But kind of they got worn. To put it bluntly, Alabama got worn down by Texas. If that's not the most like stark reminder of this state of things that I could possibly provide, they got worn down by Texas. Texas just beat the fucking will to compete out of Alabama. Simply put, that's just what happened, and it probably should have happened before it did. I mean, Texas missed a field goal. I think only one. They had a ton of like you'd have a receiver in space, and then Texas like their receivers or running backs just like miss the right hole. So it'd only be like a 9 yard gain, so like a 35 yard gain. There's at least three of those I can think off the top of my head that happened in that game. Um, it was probably a little bit more methodical. It kind of needed to be some drives, but I think even with Ewers, like I don't think Ewers always the best decision making in that game, but he had some passes that just like he had some bad passes too. I'm not saying he didn't have any bad ones, but he had some ones that just are like this is why people were saying that Texas wins that game if he plays last year the entire game. Because simply put, like the touch he had on that shit was at times Alabama's DBs couldn't do anything about it. And typically when Alabama loses these games, it's because the quarterback like makes the hard passes. Like if you go back to the A&M game, that on the like the last drive the A&M kind of won on where I think it was Haynes King like one leg like making some fucking dots. Like that's the type of shit you need to be Alabama more often than not. You can't just typically play easy gimmick ball and like beat the fuck out of them. That's simply not how it goes. Um, and I thought Ewers made the tough passes most of the time. It wasn't a perfect game by any means. I know the yards are like amazing. That's the game, but I think you really need to watch the game to get a feel for why. Like I'm not like overly gassing Ewers. Like there were some things you could really improve on and clean up. I'm trying to think what else was. The defensive line was incredible. The run contain was horrible. Not really the run contain. The quarterback contain was horrible. I don't know. I think he mentioned it that they didn't run a spy very often, which it felt like that. Just thinking back in my head, like when I think about some of the worst contains, I don't remember there being a spy on Nimrod. It was just like kind of like like you have your defensive line like press, but not like gout their lanes. Basically, just like stand there, just contain the edge. And Texas defensive lines, I mean, I guess it was because like how much pressure they generated. They just were content just kind of pinning their ears back and going. And very often that was not the right. I don't want to say very often because like this dude was a fucking freak athlete. Like if you've seen his open field speed in just this game alone, he's a freak athlete. He's built like a bowling ball, and he's I think fairly good. Not great, but like he's competent at kind of like maneuvering with like the pass fakes when being about to run, being about to scramble. I don't think he's good at it, but he's solid. Like if you want to think great is probably like a like a Nick Marshall. Just think like your scrambler that like actually like or your runner that can actually like kind of get the ball at the last second. That's kind of what I'm thinking about in my head right now. He's not that, but he's okay, right? Like he's decent. And the container just got broken multiple times. It was ugly. It was ugly, but they got so much like pressure generated. That's like, can you even blame them? Like they probably got off the top of my head like 4 or 5 sacks against this dude, and against a rusher of that caliber, you don't get that many sacks, typically speaking, unless they just are not a great decision maker. Which I didn't think Nimrod was a great decision maker. Now, from what I understand about Buckner and Ty Simpson, I understand why they kept him out there. People tell me those two can run. I don't know if they can or can't. I really don't. I haven't watched those two play. But I think the pass rush the way it was, I see why they left Nimrod out there. I mean, sometimes you just need somebody that can kind of move around a little bit, bust a move. Yeah, I mean, Auburn didn't play a perfect game. I'm talking about the kicker. He missed one that would have definitely, I think, helped. That kicker that Alabama has, Riker just broke the mold, really, for Alabama kickers, dude. Like, he's one that, like, I can't even expect him to miss, like, anywhere on the field. High pressure, low pressure, big kick, small kick. He just doesn't miss. But I do think he'll be missing Jordan Hare. Speaking of Jordan Hare, then get to Auburn. I don't really have too many more thoughts about Alabama. I thought Alabama, like, looked like Alabama. I mean, Alabama looked like the Alabama the last 2 years. I'm not gonna give you the the dynasty's over with spiel, but like this is what Alabama was the last 2 years. If you just took away Bryce, this was a more or less 3-loss, 4-loss team the last 2 years. You take away Bryce, even the 2021 with Mechie and Williams. That's not a good team without Bryce. I'm just putting it out there. That's not a good team. That team would have lost against LSU that year. It would have lost against Auburn. It would have even went to the SEC championship, and it probably would have lost in the game too. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that was not a good team whatsoever. Just it wasn't. With Bryce, it was good enough. It was what it needed to be. 2022 was 2022. They should have lost probably 2 more games, like bare fucking minimum. Ole Miss game, I think it was a 1 possession game that they kind of iced late. The LSU games obviously lost. They should have lost Texas if Ewers plays or if Bryce doesn't play. So yeah, I mean they're roughly to me a 3 or 4 loss team the last 2 years without Bryce. They probably this SEC sucks this year, so they probably will still be better than a 3-loss team. But I mean they could easily lose some games. Don't get me wrong. Like if it's like if LSU's offensive line looks a little bit more stout in run blocking, they can kind of make it a 2-dimensional game. If we get like the kind of smarter Daniels versus the dumber Daniels, if we get an LSU with a secondary that can kind of like play with some fucking heart, which I mean, Florida State's receivers are in a different realm than Alabama, so I'm saying a lot of things that are kind of crazy to say like out loud, but you take away 2008 to 2019, like, we're not there anymore. This is now. Bama's receivers are not better than Florida State's receivers. They're not even better than LSU's receivers, I would say. They're not that good, unfortunately. The offensive line is not that good, but LSU's defensive front got worn down against Florida State. So Tennessee, we haven't seen them play against anybody. I don't love. From when I saw that the Virginia game, there's some more like tweaking needs to happen for the Milton offense to work to me. But the scheme is still there. It's just not as crisp as it was with Hendon Hooker, who you kind of trade something off. Like I thought Hooker, like he had a good enough arm to make the deep throws. Like, I'm not saying he had a weak arm, but like Hooker is a dice him up intermediate type quarterback. Milton is more like the perfected version of the principle of this fucking dude, Nimrod. Like, what Nimrod is more or less like Milton. Just, you maybe take the speed down a little bit, but like arm strength up a lot of it. It's more or less the same kind of principle. And I don't know. I really don't know how to call that game. I would say Tennessee should be favored if it is in Tuscaloosa, so I'm not sure about the. I'll say it's a push right now, just because I really did not love the beginning of that Virginia game from Tennessee, but that should be an interesting game. I think it should definitely be an interesting game. And then Auburn. I mean, I don't know what to think of the Auburn game. I mean, let's just factor in this Auburn game. So Cal's a better team in this game. It's not even really particularly close. Cal started I don't even know 4, 5, 7 drives in Auburn's side of the field. I mean, it was just horrible. I'm going to read the stats off. Let me see. All right, so Auburn, God damn it, refresh please. Auburn's quarterbacks combined for 10 of 17 for 94 yards, a 5.5 YPA, and 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. The pick could have been a fumble. If it was a fumble, it would have been a touchdown, I think. I think he called it let me go back and make sure. Let me just go back here and make sure. So they called that a fumble. So he also threw a pick. I don't remember what the pick was. Let me see if I can find that. It was towards the end of the second half, it looks like. And I remember that. I really don't remember. Anyway, oh yeah, because that was the Hail Mary, the one that Jackson got picked on before half. I don't remember Thorne's pick too much, to be honest with you. Was that a bounce? Oh, that was a bounce off play. That was the play where it went through the receiver's hands and landed basically in the Cal guys kind of pocket. Okay, I remember that one now. So yeah, that was. That's the thing. That's the thing about Thorne. Thorne like throws these fucking high balls. Like I don't like Thorne's touch whatsoever. I mean, he had some great plays. Obviously, a touchdown to Fairweather, which I called a touchdown before it even like before the camera even panned to where you could see Fairweather. Like I knew that was a touchdown. It just was. That was a good throw by Thorne. But his high ball, like he threw high in the easy ass game last week. He does not have great touch, and his feel is not there whatsoever. Like feel for the pocket, feel for pressure. I mean, they try to get him like some easy runs to kind of get him like going. It just this is one of the worst game plans I've seen in my entire life. The running game, which I think like deserves to be talked about a good bit. 38 for 136 as a unit, 3.6 average. I guess YPC. Pretty much the longest run was 19 from Hunter. So I'm just gonna go like for the first few guys. So Hunter 1153 for 4.8. Damari 8 for 51. YPC 6.4, and then Cobb 320 6.7. They pretty much stymied Ashford. I'm not sure if sack yards gets taken into account here. The Thorne runs were fucking worthless. They didn't accomplish anything whatsoever. And then Batty only got the one carry. Other receivers were fine. I mean, the ball like was not getting to them in any kind of reasonable manner for most of this game, too. Like they were playing fucking like patty cake out there, bro. I thought Fair had a really good one. Fairweather had a great catch. I can't really recall too many other moments of. I mean, I wasn't like in the right state of mind to like really digest the game. We had 3 lost fumbles, and Kaufman got one. Hunter got poked out. That was a. I mean, they even went back into the review to make sure, or to reverse it to give the fumble to Hunter. So it was a close one, but I mean, it's the fumble all the same. Payton Thorne, because where the stream came in at from the Alabama game, I didn't get to see the context really behind the run that led to that fumble. But from what I can understand, it's either a fumble or a pick. So I think it was probably like a forward pass a little bit that got like hit. He got hit while throwing it, I suppose. So that was that. Damari Alston had a fumble, which I don't recall that one, but what can you do? Eugene Asante had probably one of the. Like, I'm not good at digesting like defensive play, especially like linebacker play. I'm not good at like digesting linebacker play whatsoever. Defensive line is kind of easy. I mean, if a guy is an edge rusher, it's typically the easiest kind of position. Fucking I know I'm gonna have some shit going through my system after coming out of that fucking Skybar, bro. God damn, man. I think it's probably one of the easiest positions to kind of digest defensive end as far as defensive goes, but linebacker's a hard one because even if you see somebody accruing a certain amount of tackles, that may not be because he actually played good defense. It might have been because the pass rush, the run front, was bad, and they just got to the same level constantly. He was a headhunter in this fucking game, dude. 1.5 tackles for a loss, 1 sack, 1 pass defended. 9 solo tackles, so pretty much last line of defense. And he just had some very timely plays. Like that, the possession that it resulted in, I think, the missed field goal, the penultimate, I think, drive for them, was he stymied them. He knocked them out of field goal, or I guess he knocked them back, which led to the missed field goal. I don't know if he knocked them out of field goal range per se, but he was just incredible. I mean, it was one of the best linebacker games I've seen in a while. We did not have great linebackers for the most part the last 2 years, but this motherfucker stepped it up. Kaufman, he went down at a certain point, but he's been one of their best DBs so far this year. I'm going to go through every single guy, but I mean, I thought that, let me go back over here to Cal's stats. So, Ben Finley went 7 of 11. I don't remember what knocked him out of the game. Because I know that Jackson finished the game. Because I can remember because Jackson fucking held the ball like a fucking, like, a stress ball. He just threw it out there and shit. Just having to wave it around and shit. Like, I've never seen anybody, like, be less secure at the ball every time they move around with it. Like it's literally just him holding. This motherfucker has some big ass hands or something because he was just holding the ball there like just all kind of willy nilly. But yeah, pretty much. I mean, they combined 21-38 for 160 yards, 4.2 yards per, and then 2 picks. I don't know what knocked from the game, but yo, Jackson was. I don't because I mean they had success. They moved the ball to very reasonable ranges with Jackson. I thought Jackson like tried to hit the open guy most of the time, but for whatever reason, dude, it just didn't work out. So Ott 20-78. The running game was straight to me. I mean, like look at the stats here: 4-15 for Ifanse, Stredic 8-24. So I mean, it wasn't 5 assists for Jackson, but I don't know if that counts sacks. Actually, it does count sacks, or at least tackles for loss. Whatever. And then had a couple of dudes like go for negative. I don't know how to gauge it because I mean I thought like Ott did well. Like, I thought Ott lived up to his kind of billing, but I think he went out late. I don't know. I think he was the one that tried to like hurdle a motherfucker and just like land like straight on his fucking head, like just straight on his fucking back of his head. Because I saw it and then like he tried to get up and he just couldn't. I think that was him. I don't know if it might have been somebody else, but like he did try to get up and he just couldn't. Like he got up and it went back down and then like the transfer like kind of did like the thing when you kind of align your head and make sure like, it stays straight and kind of solidified. But that shit was like after seeing the early hit for today in a different game. I forgot what game was it. It was in one where a guy like went straight like head over heels. And I landed that dead head on his. Oh, it's Cameron Kitchens, but there wasn't. This is different. How I'm thinking about it in my head, but the Cameron Kitchens here after seeing that where he went for a tackle and then like he fell on his knees and the way like his he went into the tackle on his knees. He went like I want to say like head first into the guy who also got tackled by another Miami defender, and it just like went like the pressure of the guy came down onto him as he was leading with his head, and I want to say the pressure just pretty much like kind of accordioned him into the ground, stiff as fuck. His whole body was stiff, and he kind of like fell back down, like kind of bent, and just kind of like laid out. And yeah, that was after seeing that hit. The Ott one or whoever that was kind of scary to see a little bit. But I mean numbers look good if you look at them. Like I will say, I mean it's kind of a qualifier in saying that like a lot of their drives kind of started in plus territories. They didn't have to like go through as much field to cover. But I mean, if you look down at it, I mean 4 of 18 third downs for Cal, 3 assists on fourth down. 4.2 yards per pass, 2.8 yards per rush, 2 picks, 1 fumble. I mean, it's a good defensive. Like when you consider like this defense was very maligned. The defensive front especially was very unheralded coming into this season, and after the early half of the UMass game, very unheralded. I mean, they fucking played with some heart and passion. I mean, I can't like lie. I mean, I think they legitimately like answered the bell. I mean. Now they have to bring some extra dudes into the box sometimes to stop the run. Yeah, I mean, of course, you know, when you have a smaller frame, you have to do what you got to do. But I thought it was a pretty well called game by Ron Roberts, the defensive coordinator, the widest name of all time. I thought it was a really really strong game by him. I mean, this team scored 10 points. Now, is it because of like I think 4 missed field goals? Yeah, I don't think it's a game if that doesn't happen. In fact, I know it's not a game if that doesn't happen. But you know what are you gonna do? 1-4. It's pretty damn bad. 1-4. That's pretty goddamn bad. It doesn't really get much worse than that. I'll be honest with you. McPherson did not get a chance to kick a field goal, and Batty's an interesting kick returner. I mean, Scott was not as promising as he was last week, but Batty has been a veritable plus. I feel like as a kick returner. I mean. The threat is always there, you know. I don't think he had like a huge return this time, but the threat is always there, which matters. Yeah, I really don't have much else to say. I mean, if I want to go into like a projection mode, which I don't think is ever fun to do that, to like kind of lessen the quality of the game to how does this affect them 10 games from now? I don't think that gives the individual game the importance it deserves to have, right? Um, if I really look down at this, man, I mean, let me just pull the schedule up real quick. So this is Auburn's schedule for the rest of the game or the rest of the season. Let's see scores. All right, so Stanford in Auburn, A&M at A&M, Georgia in Auburn, LSU at LSU, Baton Rouge, Ole Miss in Auburn, Mississippi State in Auburn, Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt, Arkansas at Arkansas, New Mexico State and Alabama in Auburn. I mean, I'm just gonna be objective as I possibly can be. If you're an Auburn fan still watching this, which I appreciate if you are, I'm just gonna be objective as I can be. I'm an Auburn fan too, but I'm just gonna be objective here. All right, so Stanford, obviously, A&M. That's a loss in me. A&M's passing game, like with this between Wegman's improvements and Petrino just being a better like play caller than fucking Jimbo. I mean, even today, like they gave up 48 points, but they put up 33. Wegman went 31 to 53, which pretty a lot of passing attempts there. But I mean, Daniels 3.4 yards per rush. I mean, not horrible. I don't think the running game scares me very much, but Evan Stewart's a fucking dog. Evan Stewart is nice. There's Noah Thomas has some good stats. Ruben Thomas has some good stats. And I Smith was good last year. I haven't really got to watch him too much this year. The Miami game kind of came when I was just going to hit a nap so I could watch this game and going to sleep. Because if I didn't hit that nap, bro, I would have been fucking laid on Skybar, fucking just passed out. Yeah, A&M, I think they're enough running the ball to like open up the passing game against somebody like us. And our passing game, like, I thought the passing defense was fine. It pretty much was bend on brink for a lot of the back halves I can recall. But I don't think they're great. I think they're good. Which sometimes I need to be as good, but against A&M they need to be great. I think A&M should win like decisively. If Auburn can win that one, I mean A&M's defense looked fucking terrible today, but Van Dyke, that Miami offensive line, Restrepo, and some of that skill position talent, this was in a different world than Auburn. Like, I don't think Tyler Van Dyke last year is worse than Payton Thorne this year. And the Van Dyke this year is in a different fucking realm than Thorne plus Ashford. So, I don't see how A&M, like, loses that game. So, we'll call that a loss. Let's go back to Auburn. I was looking at A&M's schedule. Georgia, come on, man. Can we be serious for a second here? Like, all right. So that's 2 losses. LSU, I'm gonna say it's a win. LSU does not impress me so far, dude. Now the only reason I'm saying it's a win because I feel like Kelly is the epitome of finesse. Their running backs are not good. Their offensive line is not good at run blocking. They weren't very good last year. It's been Daniels having to be basically the primary running threat and having to be a very pinpoint passer. I mean, the open plays were there against Florida State. Like, he hit them early. When the open passes, like the open kind of like 10 to 15s were not there, the well dried up very quickly. And they got decent pass rushers as that game progressed. Not great, but decent. A lot of it was probably just coverage sacks, or coverage pressures, I guess. But Daniels does not have a good clock. He does not have a good clock at all. I think he is more decisive, like maybe average, like dual threat quarterback, but like I don't think he has a great clock by any means. And he's close to a 1-read quarterback. I think he kind of progressed a little bit since last year, but I think he's very close to a 1-read quarterback. I'm just gonna say just hope pretty much. Like, I think LSU should be favored. They will be favored more than likely unless something bad happens between now and then. But I could definitely see it being a game of weakness against weakness. Can Auburn's contain be good enough to keep Daniels in the pocket? And can LSU's run blocking be as bad to allow Auburn's bad run front to survive? If it could just be Auburn's secondary against Daniels throwing the ball for the most part, they got more than a chance. Now, my only accounting for the other side of the ball is that LSU's pass rush was good in that game, but I didn't think Daniels or Travis was always as decisive with just putting his head down and going as he could have been. And that also being said, their secondary was fucking terrible in that game. But Florida State's play calling might be better. Auburn's play calling was terrible in this game. The game plan was bad, and the play calling was not much better. Now, I'm not sure what you can do when you have Thorne and Ashford playing the way they were playing, which is dreadful. They were bad. I'm not sure what you can really do to account for that, but the play call was bad. And a game plan was fucking worse. So it's like it's almost weakness against weakness, and then weakness against weakness. You know, like the only true strength for LSU to me is Daniels as an entity. I mean, the receivers are good, but like, they can't get the ball themselves, right? You need Daniels to be Daniels. You need Auburn's run front to be survivable. You need Ashford and Thorne to be like a net positive, which seems to be kind of lofty goals at this point. And you need LSU secondary to be not getting murdered by Keon Coleman, better. So it's a lot of weaknesses against weaknesses. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to say LSU loss, Auburn win. I don't know why, but Ole Miss against Auburn. Dude, I saw a good chunk of that Tulane game. If Tulane has Pratt in that game, they win that game. And it may not be in any kind of decisive fashion, but Ole Miss was not. The score is going to be what the score is. Ole Miss was not impressive enough to me offensively, and the defense was not that much better than it was last year. I mean, it's better, like definitely like physically better. They're a little bit faster. The pass rush is a little bit better, but like they're playing Tulane, who, like, you're really going to see the compromises of a Group of 5 team, like the trenches. Like for the most part, you can like kind of account for skill position pretty easily, but the trenches is where kind of the gap is made, and I mean, that's pretty much where Ole Miss like kept it kind of respectable. Is that they kind of just pass rush. I want to say Kai Wilson. I wanted in my head to say Kai Havertz from fucking England, but I think it's Kai Wilson. But Kai Wilson just made some very youthful, inexperienced quarterback type mistakes. Pratt, they win that game if Pratt plays. I'm sorry to say it. So I'm gonna go. Do we lose to Ole Miss twice in a row very often? I can't tell you last time it happened. No, because we won 14. So 15 we lost. I think 16 we won. Other than that, dude, there's no chance where it could have possibly happened. I mean, it just doesn't happen very often. And I don't know if I see it happening. I mean, the way I saw that Ole Miss team play today, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm gonna say Auburn win. Mississippi State and Auburn. We lost to Mississippi State in 2021. That was where Nitz broke his ankle. And we lost in 2022. That is where Carnell damn near like kind of willed a comeback there. I gotta be honest. We can't lose 2 straight times to Mississippi State. That's a way more competitive series than the Ole Miss one is, typically speaking. But no, I can't. We can't lose them 3 times in a row. If you lose Mississippi 3 times in a row, like someone has to get fired. Now I'm not saying the coaches, but someone on some level of importance has to get fired. Someone above the coaches, maybe. I don't know. Someone has to get fired. You can't lose them 3 years in a row. Vanderbilt. All right, come on. Arkansas. I have Raheem on my team. And my fantasy team, he got hurt last week. They didn't look great against Kent State. But KJ is KJ. And he had a good, I think, middle 8 against Auburn in 2021. And then looked really good against 2022. I mean, dude, I don't know. That's one of those that's hard to predict, like them lose again, unless like they just lose. Is it in Auburn? Is it in Arkansas? It's in Arkansas. I'll mark that as an L. I don't know. I can't. I don't know why, but that just doesn't seem like a win to me. It's just on principle, like something about Arkansas that just I don't know, it kind of spooked me a little bit. So the New Mexico State. So that's for those counting home. A&M loss, Georgia loss, Auburn win, or LSU loss, Auburn win against Ole Miss, Auburn win against Mississippi State, Auburn win against Vanderbilt, Arkansas loss, Auburn win against New Mexico State. So that would be 7-3. Alabama math. So we got 2 wins right now. I'm 1 game short somewhere. What the hell? Arkansas lost. Mississippi State lost. Or not Mississippi State lost. Georgia lost. A&M lost. I just double counted one of these games. I don't know which one I double counted though. So I have them losing 3 games basically. Up until the Iron before the Iron Bowl. Arkansas, Georgia, LSU. So that's 3. Anyway, they'll be fucking 8-3. All right, whatever. So the Auburn game, you heard the qualifier. A 9-win team always beats Nick Saban, even though like that qualifier is kind of weird because they use that qualifier. They used it for the Bo Nix 2019 game where Auburn had 8 wins, and they're like, oh well, Auburn beat Alabama, so that means a 9-win team is never. So the qualifier is weird. They use it in different ways. They being like Auburn fans. One qualifier situation is Auburn has never lost to Nick Saban with a 9-win team, even if the 9-win comes against Nick Saban's team. And then they've also used it where a 9-win team going into the Iron Bowl game has never lost against Nick Saban. So I guess you use however you want to use it, but basically, at the end of the day is, as I always say, a good Auburn team never loses to Alabama. There just has not been that many good Auburn teams. At least like year over year. Like you got some 2010, 2013, 2017, basically 2019 a little bit. Those were all years where I would say like Auburn was comparable, if not like a little bit better. Like, pretty close. Like, it was 50-50 or a little bit in Auburn's favor. 2017, after the Georgia game, you couldn't tell me shit about Alabama. Like, they just were nothing to me. 2019, that's the only where I would say, like, Alabama might have been favored. But, like, if you watched how Auburn defended LSU, my whole thing was, like, they clamped the fuck out of LSU, relatively speaking. So they should have been able to do the same thing as Alabama. And Alabama's defense was bad, so they should be able to, like, score against Alabama. They didn't go exactly the same way to go according to plan the way I thought it would have went, but they won, so who gives a shit, at the end of the day. This is a game where I'm going to take Auburn, but I don't want to. Like, it's just like me believing in the trends. Basically, every first Iron Bowl for an Auburn head coach is Tuberville has been either a very close loss or a win. Gus, Tuberville, Chiswick, even Harsin, like pretty much been a bullshit Alabama win or an Auburn win, So I would say, look, watching these teams today, I mean, it just depends on if they can take the deep ball away from Milton. If they can not allow Milton to throw like these 50-yard like dots for touchdowns. If it's just a methodical game, I think Auburn has a real shot in the game. I just don't know how you score points. Even though I don't think the secondary for Alabama is wonderful, I think they're good enough in run front to like make it a hard day for Auburn. Realistically, I'd have Alabama win that game right now, just because Alabama can manufacture more offense. So I'd make that an Auburn loss. But like, it shouldn't be like ass kicking. It really shouldn't. Like, if you just look at that, the potential with Auburn's run contain. Like, I thought McClellan like got going early and then kind of disappeared. I thought over the course of the game. But like, I think if the contain is straight, which I think the contain isn't the problem. Like the actual like pin your ears back and like going after a running back, like going up against offensive line that's pushing back at you, running, at you. I think that's when the shit just falters a little bit. But if you can like guarantee me that the actual traditional run defense is a little bit better and contain is, maybe a step or two better than where it was today, which I thought was pretty good against a pretty agile quarterback. I could see it. I could see it. This isn't going to focus again, is it? Oh, I almost got it. I almost got it. Okay. There we go. So yeah, I think I have this Alabama win, but I could see where it's like a 2018, 2017 type game. Like I could see. I mean, as a score, not like it's the year. I could see it's been a very close game. So that's about 8-4, which I think is what most people would have. The games I picked might be a little bit different than some people's games, but this is a team with the down SEC and some very piss poor quarterback play in this conference. This 8-4, I feel like is realistic. I mean, I don't think this is a nail biter like 8-4 or could have been 10-2 if a couple balls bounced a different way. I think they're safely an 8-4 team, and I think that should be a likable result for Auburn fans after watching fucking that game today, which was fucking horrible to watch. Horrible to watch. God damn, dude. It was just like basically praying to God on one side of the ball every time we got the ball. Every time we got the ball, it was just pray, hope for the best, and that's not a great way to like kind of engage with football. But I was a little bit toasted at the bar sky, and I kind of had the I had a decent time. That's how I would recommend watching many Auburn games. You could go to whatever your local spot is and just get a little bit toasted. Not a lot of it, so you can still digest the game, but like just a little bit toasted. That's it for me. If you want more football shit, let me know. I mean, I'm on Double Hodge.